So, I thought I would make a video today, YouTube, and talk about some of what's going on in the world because there is so much momentous stuff, and it's good to talk about it and good to point out to people what's happening that they should be optimistic about, they should be happy about. President Trump is changing the U.S. space policy to put the return to the moon as a priority. And it's good. It might be good to watch it. See for yourself. It's pretty inspiring. This is and it's a challenge. It's going to be, but already I think it's reshaping how human beings are going to interact with the world, with the universe. Um, and it's good. We can't just go there and plant a flag and then never come back. You have to go there and stay there and investigate, and as the largest the nearby, or the nearest large planetary body. It represents certain uh, abilities to discover things about how human beings will live in the solar environment. Going there, having a relatively short commute between there and Earth, relative to other places, having an ability to interact with a small field of gravity, so that you have some semblance of that the ability to work in a gravity environment, but not completely weightless. But so there's some advantages and some in that regard. And then having being able to mine different materials from there, like helium-3, and generally speaking, that using that as a jumping board, as a launching point to the rest of the solar system. So it's very inspiring, very momentous. And what do we get in the news media? And was it NBC, CNN, and they're talking about they had this supposed new break, or CNN, MSNBC, and CBS had this supposed new break in the that was going to show that Trump and Russia, there was evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, that they got WikiLeaks evidence early, but they got the date wrong, and all three of these major news organizations came out and said, oh, this is news, and they were reporting on it for many hours, and so before any retractions were made. And it just shows that most people are only going to see that first report. They're going to see, oh, this is the the clickbait, the catch that's of the day, new news that's hot off the press, and they're not going to come back to it and look at it a second time and realize that that it was false and that it was completely misleading. So it's a very distinct, there's a real problem. There's still a real issue with the U.S. and getting us to go in this more positive direction, the more positive ideas of the One Belt, One Road, and the collaboration with Russia, China, and other countries. The White House telling the Saudis again to lift the Yemen block. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic that this is the U.S. putting pressure on Saudi Arabia to act differently, and considering our relationship with them, or relationship we've had, this change, I think, will greatly affect them, and greatly they'll see this change from the administration and policy as greatly affect them. And it's not easy to say how, or in what facets, but it will. and the rest of the world is looking to this area and saying, okay, like the conflict has to stop, and there has to be real move toward development. So let's see what else I'm going to talk about. Glaziev, Putin's advisor, said the European partnership is basis for India-China cooperation. Basically, Glaziev had talked about being the bridge between India and China and resolving their conflicts and coming together and working towards common development. As he said, 60% of the world's population in those areas. So they are a force to be reckoned with when they exert themselves, or when they assert themselves. So the potential of them doing that in different areas will greatly change their population's quality of life and the shape of the world. So that's a good thing. Yeah, and other things, but yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to discuss. It's reason for optimism as counterposed to the what's typical in the news. I mean, I think it's Glenn Greenwald who reported on this. The different news agencies coming out and spouting all this false stuff, and then 7 hours later giving half retractions and going on the back foot a little bit, but not even really caring that they had lied. So, and Glenn Greenwald, is he helped print the story of Snowden and get his his story out, and as well as helped him with the so it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting times we live in. Most of my actions over the past few months have been trying to change my parents' garden. It's fairly mundane, but at the same time, the immediate environment we live in is definitely something that affects us. I think if you on the small level, it's definitely you have to keep a clean living space in order to help yourself be creative and help yourself think. And that part of what I've been doing in the past few months is just working on that garden and trying to clean it up and get rid of all the junk. And the house I live in with my family has a lot of junk in it, and stuff that hasn't been used in 20, 30 years, sometimes maybe more. And so I was definitely, I feel a real need to clean it and to get it organized. And that's fine if they keep stuff, just can't be tripping over it to get here and there. It definitely, I definitely think that being creative, if you're forced to, you can pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But there's no reason to try and do that and not try and change your surroundings as well to make that change easier. I think it's that creating change is dual part. You obviously have to reach for the bigger things and to organize the larger areas of the world, but we have to keep an eye on keeping the basics of our environment clean and our own immediate environment clean and organized so that we can do that. Otherwise, it's just going to be stuck in it's going to impede you at every step. So definitely that's why every parent usually tells their kids to clean their room. It's just for a lot of the boomer population, they never listened to their own advice. They kept all their stuff and let it flood their living space. But yeah, hopefully next couple of days I'll have a video on the garden maybe taking my phone out there and recording a little video on what I've done. Should be fun. That's what I want to talk about. See ya.